Hi everyone, welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot, although this is astrology of course, and I'm going to be taking you through the transits for the week of April 10th through the 16th. But of course in the middle of it, or actually on the 12th, we have the exact conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter, or Jupiter-Neptune, whichever way you want to look at it. Doesn't matter. So if you haven't seen that video already, you might want to check that out because I'm sure I'll go into it in much more depth and detail than I'll do here, because this one's for the whole week. I'll take you through all the transits of the moon as well. So anyway, let me drop the camera down and get this going. Okay, so I forgot to say that besides the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, that's you can see it's already exact, but it's exact I think on Tuesday, but we also have the full moon on Saturday, so I have that chart. We'll go through that too. And if you remember, which you might not unless you're watching this early, as my members get, you might still be in the moon opposing Pluto here, because that's how we finished out the week, with the moon in Cancer at about 21 degrees. It's, it's like over here, but it's still within orb, because I go with a 10 to 12 degree orb for conjunctions and oppositions. I don't know. I usually cut it off around 9 degrees for some reason with oppositions, but sometimes my program has a mind of its own. I can either set it to a tight or a wide orb, and with conjunctions and oppositions, and depending on where I left it the last time. But anyway, so this one you can tell it's a bit of a wide orb because we're dealing with about 4 degrees here, and it will continue on throughout the day. So the important thing is, with the moon opposing Pluto, they're a little alike in that they can both get stagnant, and we need Mars energy to move things along. But the moon in fiery Leo doesn't necessarily bode for stagnancy. That might be more of a Cancer thing that we started with, finishing up last week on Saturday. So if there was any emotional stagnancy around not feeling not feeling sure about which way to go, because remember the polarities of Cancer and Capricorn can be kind of shy. So if there's some need to overcome any insecurities, then I would say by Sunday morning when you wake up, it's moving along and you're doing much better, because of course the moon in Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is also in Aries. And it's in square. We have a square here, and squares bring in challenges, but they also bring in contact points to where, once we work through it, we actually have a strength. We overcome fears when we're dealing with squares. All right, and you can see here, besides, this is quite a configuration here. This one. And everything else is, we've been in, but I'll go over it anyway. But this right here, this square, this opposition to the moon and Pluto can help move some emotional past, emotionally reactive past energy if need be. And then with Mercury here squaring to Pluto and the moon, and Mercury's in Aries. Oh, can't draw a straight line there for the life of me. So with Mercury squaring the moon here, there can be some courageous messages that come through if you're listening intently as to what you need to do to move on, what you may need to heal. Because remember, we still have the sun's conjunct Mercury, so what's out there in the world now are lots of messages to move forward in a way that you can assert your healthy individuality, your healthy self, and don't worry about being left out. We've had this with the sun and the moon crossing over Chiron that we talked about last week and the week before. I think that, the healing has, the awareness of whatever needed to be healed has happened, and we're now moving forward in a better way. Now, when it comes to the war in Ukraine, this is, this is awful. Chiron in Aries is an awful, awful aspect of what's going on, because it's the wounding around having the right to exist. Is exactly what this means to me anyway. And we still have with this, Saturn square. So up here, well, 26, 22, yeah, I'm still going to bring in Mars with it. So this Saturn square the nodes, this is, and we always have an opposition with the nodes, right? Because it's the south node is the past, and then the north node has to do with our future. And of course, we're all reassessing our values. Our values are changing based on what we're seeing in the world that we don't want anymore. No one wants war, except for these, sick people that they don't care, and they're maybe making money off of it. There's that possibility. But this is a test here. This is a test for humanity. This is a test for our new rules of society. And Mars is now, Pisces, Venus and Pisces, it just couldn't be any more compassionate and caring and loving. And Mars is moving close. It won't be long. I can't remember which day, but I remember seeing Mars move into Pisces. I highlighted it. So that is, Mars will continue on and hook up with Venus again, and they'll be hanging out together in the most compassionate, sensitive, signs, or sign of the zodiac. And then, of course, they'll catch up with we'll have a stellium in Pisces, with Mars Pisces. That'll all come together at some point. I have to look ahead to see when that will be, but anyway, let's stick with this week. So with Saturn, so Mars is pulling away. Remember, Mars moves energy. Mars is assertion. It gets things going. It trailblazes, rules Aries. So when I speak to Mars, it's kind of like speaking about Aries and vice versa, except for Mars in Aquarius wants things to be different, wants things to be new, wants people to be tolerant. But then again, we have these bigots too, right? There can be, in Aquarius, there can be apathy and, like I've always said, cutting off of the heart. So that's the test right here, because Saturn's holding that space in Aquarius. So the main test here, just to highlight this is really important, is, and this is going to last throughout the fall. Saturn squaring the nodes has to do with people wanting new rules for society, the way society is run. We don't want corrupt people anymore. We're still going to be seeing, the ends of that until Pluto gets out of Capricorn. I'm hoping it'll be done by then. Then again, we might, who knows, in our lifetimes, we may always be holding space for healing corruption. I don't know how, I can't say how long it can take. And the reason I couldn't is because it depends on every single soul on the planet. And, it doesn't matter who they are and where they're incarnated. They get to come back to Earth school over and over and over and over again until they get back into the pure love state that they were created from. So who knows how long that could take. And the Earth will be here for them to do that until then. At least that's what I believe. But meanwhile, we need to heal the Earth as well. So these are the challenges, right? New rules for society. we're testing the limits of society. But Neptune will win, Pluto will win, Jupiter will help expand. But these slower moving transpersonal planets of Uranus, actually, let me go in order. Well, yeah, I kind of feel like leaving out Jupiter and Saturn. Let's go with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto for the really slow planets, right? I mean, it can take Pluto. Well, at the least I've ever seen in my lifetime has been 11 years for one sign, and at the most 25. So I can't remember. Well, hold on, I can look. Let's see. In Capricorn, here's my scratchy notes. I went through my ephemeris. In Capricorn, we started 2009, and of course it'll be the end of 2022, December. 13 years there. In Aquarius, it's going to last about 21 years. But you can see, like Pluto and Scorpio was only 11 years worth of souls that incarnated with that under that sign. Pluto and Leo generation was 25 years. So anywhere between basically 11 and 25 years is what I can see so far. But it's an elliptical orbit, and if it decides to change or the universe decides to shift in some way and it changes, then all the the people, it'd be astrolabe that would be creating the new ephemeris, and we'll all be adjusting. There'll be new reprints and things like that. So anyway, with Pluto trining the North Node here, Pluto's holding the space for, in the highest levels of Capricorn, its integrity and authenticity and being self-responsible, working really hard. But within balance. We need the Libra balance, right? We need Venus and Libra to teach us about balance. But, maybe it's working hard on ourselves. Maybe it's the inner work to take self-responsibility for what we're creating in life best as we can, knowing that life is not perfect and never will be, and neither do we, need to be perfect. So anyway, this nice, easy trine here is supporting us moving forward in our lives. It's supporting us into the future to live life in a much more abundant way, and a way that's grounded in a whole lot more bliss and pleasure and luxury. Now, I know that sounds crazy, being that we're going through, crazy levels of inflation. But I feel like it's about, less is more, that when we have ourselves and our connections to, who we are deep within, we don't need so much on the outside. And I think those days of, nobody likes seeing these ridiculous, super yachts and all these ridiculous things that the Russian oligarchs have. And, I mean, billionaires galore, things like that. It's just, we don't, who needs it, right? I mean, no one needs $1 billion to live. If you have $1 billion, you can set up your whole family's lifetime. So for us, I think we can be a whole lot more, I think we can be comfortable with a whole lot less than we think that we can. And if we have love in our lives and we have our real needs met, food, shelter, comfort, health, what else do we, besides love? It's like, what else do we need? We have our connection, we have our creative self-expression, which is very much what the moon in Leo's about today. So this power dynamic between what do we really need? We've got fire and we have earth here. and then this trine to Earth. And then we have a whole lot of, we have this, don't forget this whole, aspect of the architect going on here that's been going on for quite some time. And I can't even remember when it shifts. But so earthly self-responsibility, creating the life that you want to live, taking responsibility for the fact that our beliefs, whether they're true or not, create most of our reality. And then having the courage to just continue on that path, even though you may be facing realms of the unknown, right? I mean, I understand that it's kind of scary to be in the unknown. A lot of people want to be in so much control that they have, they just have this hell-bent life force coming out of them that wants to have all the toys, all the money, all the everything. And that way they think that they're going to feel safe. But deep down inside, if we're not connected to our heart, and that's the test here. That's why we have this inconjunct here to the moon. And this is just for the day. So this is an adjustment to being in bliss with Venus, being in bliss and having the courage to open your heart to having more bliss, but it comes from the heart. It doesn't come from money. It doesn't come from, like I said, if you have enough to be safe and secure, and at least, for a few years, or maybe you feel safe enough with just 6 months, as long as, a lot of people have like recession-proof jobs too, which is really nice. But they often work really hard, and of course they, deserve it immensely. But so this adjustment that could need to happen would be to hold in our hearts a lot of love for, and be very, very compassionate for those who are supporting others. Venus in Pisces Venus is the planet of unity, no less. It unites things together. It brings in more harmony, and this is the only aspect. Well, we've got that little semi square to Chiron there. So there we are with that aspect of, it's very painful to see the things going on, in Ukraine. So of course, don't look at the images on TV. Maybe just listening's enough, and then turn it off and send your love. Just keep sending your love to the region, and donate best you can, as much as you can. If you can't, just sending your love is it has to be more than enough if you can't donate, right? When it comes to money. But your life force is definitely very valuable and worth a lot. Absolutely. So the adjustment could be, just that need to take care of yourself, know that everyone matters and deserves to be on the planet and heal their souls. That's why we're all here. And to just keep having the courage as the moon is moving through the sign of Leo for the next couple days. It's all about the courage, and because you can see as it moves forward, it's going to start at some point. It will oppose Saturn, and then it'll oppose Mars. Then when it gets into Virgo, it's going to oppose Venus here. All right. So as we move throughout the week, it's just, we're going to end up over here in Libra. So it's going to end up, the moon is going to end up opposing all of these planets here. So the moon's in a very, very powerful position for this week. So that's why I'm saying this is a doozy of a week. And the test will be to keep our hearts open, to not be pushy. The downside of Leo is that it wants itself to have, well, it's very, very courageous and very powerful, first of all. It's all about our self-expression, and has a lot of self-confidence usually. But the downside can be when you don't feel seen or heard or understood, and therefore like not noticed, not recognized, not getting the attention that you deserve, not being encouraged. So you might have to, as the moon starts opposing Aquarius and then with all these other signs, we might have to hold more space for ourselves this week. The worst case scenario with Leo can be like my will and my way. But often Leo energy is just so generous and in their leadership, right? And very playful, very warm. Remember, it's ruled by the sun. It's very, very warm. It can be, in the best sense, I see it as protective love, where I often think of my friend Debbie over at Freebird Spirit Tarot, where, she's always fighting for the underdog, and it really gets to her when things aren't, like she was a kid growing up, if anyone was being bullied, she was the first to step in and stand up, for people. That's the positive, the best sense of Leo, and she is a Leo sun. So with the moon, I think moving across, getting here at some point when it opposes Saturn over the next day or so, I think things are going to be a little more challenging for, if we don't see things moving along. I did like seeing Merrick Garland come on TV and talk about how much work is being done to put more sanctions on the Russian oligarchs and to just to let us know that that the Department of Justice is working very, very hard on everything that's fueling the war in Ukraine. So that's actually really, really good. I liked him coming out saying that. Let's see, and then with the sun in conjunct the south node, the other thing that to take best advantage, to get the best use out of the energies for the day, is this little adjustment here from the south node. So remember, whenever I say south node, just think of the past, okay? When it's in Scorpio, it's fixed. It's a fixed quality, meaning that it can be stubborn, as well as Taurus, of course. But with this adjustment here to the sun in Aries, I would say the best thing to do would be just to be careful about just knee-jerk reactions and moving forward just for the sake of moving, right? You might want to slow down, and sometimes it's about digging your heels in and going deeper and holding your space for something new to come through, especially when the sun's in Aries. On another level, this could be speaking to having the courage to go within and do that deep transformation work. Bring in because Scorpio in the best sense is just very, very perceptive, as well as Cancer. But that perception that can get into the emotional past and do that deep healing work is definitely supported, especially this morning. So I would pay attention to dream time and see what came through when you first wake up in the morning. Like what was that last thing, if you can remember. And if not, it'd be a wonderful morning for meditation. And that's especially true here with Venus in this in conjunct to the moon and opposing Pluto, right? There's a lot of emotional courage, or courage coming straight from the spirit is what I've just heard, and listening to, but not responding to. So you can get information about how to move forward, but I would say wait a bit and figure out the best course of action and take what's best for you. Okay, so let's move forward. So these are set up for the week. These not the moon opposite Pluto, but this Saturn and Mars squaring the nodes is going to be all week. And like I keep saying, this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, trining the south node and sextiling the north node, forming the aspect of the architect, where all the spiritual work we've done in the past can really move us forward on our path now. This is holding for us for quite some time, as well as Pluto trining the north node, so the future, right? So we can move forward into the future. Okay, so let's see, with Monday, like I said, here's the moon here. Now we have that opposition into Saturn. It's coming into, it won't be exact until the moon gets to 22 degrees, but almost 23. But it's within orb, like you can see. So again, we're going to have the courage to stand up, stand in our love, stand up for ourselves, stand up for others, make people in the position of government, make them do the work for us that they need to remember that they work for us, right? And and hopefully by the time I even get this uploaded and released to you guys, we will have a new our first Supreme Court justice who is a woman of color. Or a black woman, I should say, because we also have Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Kagan. I think they have some. Well, I don't know about Elena Kagan. I don't know about her ethnicity, actually, but Sonia Sotomayor is very, I think, wonderful, wonderful justice. It'll be nice to have the three of them together, right? Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. And I don't see any reason why she wouldn't be, because we already have like three Republicans that are, who is it? It's Mitt Romney. Oh my goodness. Mitt Romney, Lisa Murkowski, and the gal, Susan Collins is the one I couldn't remember, who are saying that they will vote for her. And even if it's a tie, which I don't think it's going to be, but even if it was, even if that were the case, and we have Kamala Harris, who of course is the president of the Senate, so she would be the tie vote. So we can look forward. I think maybe this Leo moon is a lot of us celebrating the fact that we have overcome something there. So with this opposition here, see how Mars is moving pretty quickly ahead there. But it's still, we're going to have moon opposition Mars coming in. But for this day, for Monday, I would say it's just a little more intensification of everything I talked about before with the squares to the nodes, and that's because this opposition, see when you have a setup here, this is a T-square right here, this configuration here, right? So when we have a T-square, what's at the apex is activated, and the way to balance it out is to always go to its exact opposite, which would be over here once we get to that, 22 degrees Leo. So we're building the energy to balance out. And we could have, with oppositions, when they're worked through, with an opposition, just think of it as like a mirror, like face to face. Like suddenly you're looking in the mirror and you can't get away from the image. Or someone's in your face and mirroring something back to you that you need to, look at, right? And once you do that and you get the lesson, whatever it is, or you get the awareness, you become aware, which is what it's all about, then you have the breakthrough. And that's why I always say oppositions can lead to breakthroughs. So we could have a very courageous, spiritual, of the spiritual essence. Just think of, in tarot, think of all the wands, and think of the strength card that's ruled by Leo. Think of that opposing Saturn, and with Saturn being the government, but Saturn also being the structure of society. I think we could have some breakthroughs into, the new place that we want to be. And I don't know if it's going to have to do with, now, it's very possible that it's all this ridiculous stuff that we're hearing about on the news, like, what was it? Was it Tennessee or Kentucky? I think it's Tennessee, that decides that now, even little girls can get married, like child brides. Like, what? What? Ridiculous things like that. I think there might be some opposition to that, because that would be definitely the lower octave of Aquarius, right? So these states making up their own rules, now we've got their attention, but now they need to look in the mirror, and we need to stand up and say, what the heck are you, the people of Tennessee and anywhere else, it's trying to pull that off. Oh, goodness. Yeah. I mean, if we don't protect children, why are we here, right? If we don't protect the children and the vulnerable, we're just taking up space. I feel it's like ridiculous. And if we're set, like out to just use people like chattel, like are women and children just chattel now for these disgusting men to have their way with us at any age? I mean, what is that about? All the women on the planet, I'm sure, are just enraged thinking about things like that. And, that might be exactly what needs to happen, especially once the moon hits, this opposition with Mars, which won't be long. So we'll be looking at that. But for today, we have the square here to Uranus. Now that should be enough to shake things up, I think. What do you guys think? All right? Because Uranus and Taurus is like, we want safety. We're aware now, and this goes with the war in Ukraine too, that if we don't have safety, life is just not it's not supposed to be that way. It's all about safety, right? And here we have, global warming going on. We have a refugee crisis happening. These people need to be taken care of, and we need to be inventing new ways for them to be safe, and they need to be coming into the awareness that safety is one of the most important things, because without it, you can't grow. If we're not safe, we can't have stability. And if we don't have stability, then we're always in trauma and crisis. That's part of this polarity here, because Scorpio can definitely be about crisis and intensity. And the downside of Scorpio, of course, you all know, is, secrets and vengefulness, wanting to get even, vengeance. So the way to heal it, of course, is to go to the place where we want everyone to be safe and hold that level of consciousness for everyone to wake up to how important it is that, safety matters, really. It just really, really, really does. And then, so there could be some awareness of that. More people waking up about that. I mean, if I was a billionaire, I'd be trying to figure out a way to just take care of. I really do hope that there are at least several billionaires out there inventing ways to help the refugees and to help climate change. And I know that Jeff Bezos' ex-wife had, what's her name, Mackenzie something? Can't remember. Well, it's not Bezos anymore, but maybe her last name's Mackenzie. I can't remember. But anywho, she donated like half of her, marriage settlement, which she deserved every bit of it, of course, because she helped him build the business. And he turned out to be a cheating little, what. So that's a square. That's a bit of a problem. And we can see now, but for us personally, spiritually, no, it's not a problem. It's just a challenge that will turn into a strength because we're going to become much more aware of how much our love matters. And even if we can't see it, that doesn't matter. That what does matter is that we just hold the space of love in our hearts for the rest of the world to shift. Whether it does or not doesn't matter. That's not, it's not up to you. It's not up to us to see tangible results because we're dealing with intangible soul substance that we can't measure. So here's a cool thing here with Mercury. Well, I'm seeing a couple things. Mercury is newly into Taurus here, and it's 0 degrees right here. And notice how it squares to Pluto. So you can bet your, I don't know, what's the word? You guys tell me. Put something in the comments. You can bet your sweet bippy, I don't know, that we are going to be talking about people in positions of power. And we want help, we want support. I could imagine Zelensky is going to be just as vocal or even more. I mean, he's already as vocal as he could possibly be, but he's still working towards it. This is the rest of us too, wanting to talk about ways to be more abundant and just sustainability. There's all of the price gouging and companies raising rates or raising prices, and we're talking oil conglomerates here. We're talking oil, banking, insurance, right? Insurance companies raising their rates because of global warming. Insurance companies raising their rates because they can, and they no matter what, they always do their 4% at least cost of living increase. Well, you know what are they doing now? 7% this year? Is that what's happening? So I think we're all going to be talking about that more. And we can always, always, always vote with our pocketbook, right? So what if we pretended that we didn't have credit cards that we could kind of ride out in debt, and we thought in terms, at least this is the way I think in terms of, can I pay my credit card off completely every month? And if I can't, and if 1 month goes by where I can't, I'm like, okay, hold on, got to cut back now, right? Because to live in debt every day is very expensive. It costs more. So we can live within our means. We can make things, we can shift things if need be. And everybody is already, shopping more cheaply. We're, I don't know. I try not to judge people, but when I see people like that, that have to have their Fendi and their whatever and their, these brand name clothing, and, just because it has a label attached, a brand attached, that's to me is just ridiculous. So I am hoping that with the North Node in Taurus, people are going to be changing their values, more and more and more, especially as we get to the let's see, where's that chart? Do I have it? Where do I have it? I have it somewhere. Maybe I have it in my living room. Yeah, I don't have it right here. I'll have to go by memory. So it's the Uranus. So when Uranus catches up here to the North Node, because remember the nodes go backwards, so they're going to join together in Taurus, of course, but at 18 degrees, they're going to meet in the middle. And at the same time, Mars by then will be all the way over to here. So it's going to be like Mars to the North Node and Uranus over here by July 31st, and then even August 1st is like a major day too. So I'm thinking that this is where a big shift comes in. Big shift comes in. And we're still going to have this square to the, to Saturn, but by then, Jupiter will have moved forward and into Aries, and it's going to be pushing its way close to Chiron, so even more healing's going to come through. So what's so great about astrology is you can kind of check ahead, forward into time. And then we'll have like these faster moving, not only Mars will be over here, I think if I remember right, well, of course, Mercury moves the fastest. So I think Mercury will be probably way over here somewhere, probably. I'm thinking maybe, yeah, because it moves. Mercury goes like, I think, sheesh, I should say. I think it goes about less than, well, depending on when it retrogrades. Sometimes it can stay for quite some time in one sign, but it usually moves through one sign every month, usually. Sometimes it can be as fast as, or slow, I should say, as, 2 weeks. But anyway, so, yeah, I'm sorry, it's kind of like stuck inside the chart here. But so just think of Venus and Mercury being over here somewhere, and then we'll start to see more balance, because we have been seeing, this to me is like very out of balance. It's breaking up though, right? So in the future, things are going to shift into some big ways, and when we have Mars, Uranus, and the North Node here, we're gonna have some nice sextiles and then trines with the personal planets over here as things move through, and of course the moon, getting all the way around the chart in every 28 days. That will always be there. But again, back to today, the moon. So let's look at the aspects to the moon, because that's the leading edge for the rest of what I'm going to be talking about this week and leading up to the full moon. So we have a trine, so we have a graceful, easy aspect here to Chiron. So again, the moon supports the courage to do our inner work, to do our healing, to be courageous, to be brave, right? To be more direct if you need to be, but just be kind with your words, right? Be more fearless, be more independent. Just be careful about being impulsive, but because, we have a connection there. Sometimes it can be like, whoo, you just go, right? Leo here to Aries. And then what else with the moon? So we talked about this opposition here, even though I didn't highlight it in. It's happening even tomorrow. Chiron in this conjunct here to the South Node. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's not Chiron. It's the Sun right here. Because inconjuncts are always a really tight orb, like 0 to 3 degrees at the most. So the Sun is shining the light on something in the past that we're going to need to either be with, work on. I don't know where the South Node is showing up in your chart, but it would represent where you're being encouraged to heal the past. So wherever 22 degrees Scorpio, almost 23 degrees Scorpio is in your chart, that would be what you're working with at this time. So when it comes to the sun in Aries, this is, again, just like I said, how can you be more fearless? How can you be more independent? Think about what is sustainable, right? Because we have this, Pluto trining the North Node, holding a position of power. And sustainability is power. It's, endurance, right? And we do have, of course, you can see, that all the other aspects before, the aspect of the architect between Jupiter and Neptune to the North Node. But we also have this trine, or I'm sorry, this sextile here up to the Sun. So now we have Saturn. Mars is kind of pulling away, but I feel like it's more about right here. Yeah, I mean, it kind of involves Chiron as well, too. Definitely to the moon. The moon, for sure, is a tight orb. But this is an aspect of the architect here, too. So this could be something that really opens the way. Remember, sextiles are about opportunities, and then the trines are about something graceful and easy. Things that are easy for you. Yeah, so anything new you're trying to build, especially like anything with group consciousness, or if you're trying to get your own website started, or if you're making adjustments to your website, this would be a good day for working on your website and putting yourself out there. If it's about, relationship, it could be about speaking up and saying whatever you need to say and then see how they feel about it and, working things out. So that's good for Monday. Okay, and then Tuesday, here's where we can see this, how we've gone through, so throughout the day Monday, and then Tuesday morning we're even moving out of orb. But the Mars opposing, this is the thing I was, wrong color there. This is the thing I wanted to speak to. So just like I said, the moon has gone through that opposition with Saturn, but now today it's Mars that's really in orb there. Look at that, 27 to 28. So like I said, it's like from Monday to Tuesday, it can be intense, but it can be really good. It can be a breakthrough to get going in the direction you want to go in. Because Mars, again, just remember, it's moves energy. It's kind of like Scorpio energy, where you're moving towards something, you want to get something done. There's I don't know what's the word, like I don't know, striving is kind of I guess it's more ambitious is the thing I want to say. So there can be a lot of energy for something ambitious, and now with the moon opposing, there's this feeling of nurturing whatever it is that you want to bring in. Now, on another level, this could be, don't be careful about getting into an argument with someone who you have a sense that their heart is closed off. Also, don't get in an argument with someone who is just trying to be controlling and pushing, and and they're not thinking about you. And things are going to shift as soon as Mars moves into Pisces. So, yeah. Now, we can also see that South Node, remember how I was saying with Saturn to the square here and the T-square and all of that? Now we have, let's see how we have a grand square here, like that. Now we have the moon over here in that opposing point. So again, go to your protective love, go to your courage, go to your self-expression. Just put yourself out there. Just do it with love, and you'll be absolutely fine. If you need to make any changes to your routine to accommodate your new creative self-expression, your new projects, this would be an excellent day to get that done. And let's see what else. These other aspects are all the same. Even the sun to the south node is still the same there. It's an exact orb. The moon to Pluto, the in conjunct there. So this would be that buildup that I was talking about on Monday, where, you know, when the moon was here and opposing. If we're not sure yet what's driving us on the inner levels, whatever we're unconscious of, we'll for sure know. There could be some awareness that comes through, and we'll know, like, what is it that we need to adjust from within in order to move forward. I just heard it's about prioritizing so we're not wasting energy. Good, just go towards the love, go towards what makes you feel powerful. So if you're moving through your life and suddenly you're working on a project, and you know, let's assume that you're fed, you've got water, you've been, your self-care is good. But you sit down to work on a project, or you stand up to work on a, whatever, and you just feel this incredible energy drain. That's the sign. Whenever there's an energy drain, that's the sign that it's not something you're supposed to be doing. That it's a good job for someone else, but if you're doing that repeatedly, you can cause harm to your health, and you'll definitely, your emotional body will continue to warn you about it, and that could be the adjustment. Because remember, Pluto's always about power, right? So, okay, so that's all I have to say with Tuesday, or say for Tuesday. Everything else is the same as it was on Monday. And then here we have on Wednesday, Jupiter. I put a little note here because I noticed that Jupiter is going to move into Aries soon. Because what's happened here, I'll show you the difference. What's happened here, notice how Jupiter was in front of, this is that exact, oh, that's right. Sorry. This is the exact, look at that, 56 minutes, 58 minutes, the 12th. This is Tuesday. This is the exact Jupiter conjunct Neptune transit. And again, like I already addressed it on Monday, and I already did a separate video on it, but this is the payoff point for all those of us who have worked hard on our spiritual, done our spiritual work. There should be some opening that happens here. And you can see Jupiter's there, but by the next day, check it out, Jupiter's on the other side of Neptune, right? As we still have the aspect of the architect going on here. But by May, Jupiter's going to dip into Aries for about 5 months there, a little more than 5 months. And then it'll go retrograde back into Pisces again until the end of the year, till the 20th of December, before it comes back into Aries. But we're going to have a little bit. We're going to have 5 months of Jupiter in Aries, and that should be very healing, especially because it's be within, it won't be in that tight of an orb to influence Chiron yet, but it's headed there. Jupiter conjunct Chiron should be very healing, especially for refugees, the refugee situation, and for putting ourselves out there in a way that we know we matter and we deserve to be winning at life, and we can all create win-win situations. Because remember, Aries energy is just the main keyword I always remember for Aries is like trailblazing, or blazing your own trail. So I'm thinking it's going to be like summertime or so that Jupiter would make it into orb of. Because if it's in Aries in May, I bet you in a couple months after, we'll have Jupiter here, and that's when some more healing. So there might be some relief with the Ukraine war by then. I hope. It might take longer than that for it to be completely over, but it's headed in that direction. So we can see, of course, we still have the square going on. Everything's the same as what I've spoken about earlier, for the week. Mars still hasn't moved into Pisces yet, but that's coming up. So let's focus on the moon. So with the moon in Virgo for Wednesday, and it actually, it was still in Leo. Yeah, 28 degrees Leo on Tuesday. So during the night, it has moved into Virgo. Now we've got a sesco square here with the moon to Pluto. That's not that challenging. It's kind of a weak transit. It's just really minor. It's a minor challenging aspect. It's kind of like the square. Well, it is like the square, except for it's just not near as intense. And I think with the Leo moon, it was intense enough. But when it gets over in here, it'll be square. And, we have that basically 4 times every month anyway, the moon squaring Pluto as it gets, moves around. But in an earth sign here, again, this is about, with the moon in Virgo, we're in that realm of being very tuned in to patterns and details. I love Virgo energy because it's about the details. It's all about, it's mutable energy, so it's adaptable and it can be very healing. It's usually very humble and modest, type of quality, but definitely in the realm of divine order and being very, responsible and logical. Now, the challenging side, and it's with this trine to Mercury, this would be Mercury and Uranus. We're moving into a Mercury conjunct Uranus before long. That's great. It's close enough, I'd say already. And trining the moon, this can be, here we are with that possibility to have some new inventions come through. And so it could have to do with renewables. It could have to do with, it could even have to do with, the healing with the war. It's possible. There could be some details that come through. It could be protecting ourselves in ways, or, the United States helping to protect Ukraine and other countries helping to protect. But the downside, with this trine here, I don't see a downside, except for the only downside with Virgo is to be a little too fearful and worry a little too much. So if you catch yourself worrying today about anything, just know that if you give yourself that kind of, give yourself the space to ask, is this a ridiculous concern, or is this something I really need to be concerned about, or is it a detail I need to write down so that I remember it later when I need it? What is the worry about when it comes up? And most of the time, it's just an echo of the past, past life, past issues, even in this lifetime, where things happened and we think it's going to happen again. But that's not true. That's not true. And if it is a repeat, then just know that you've been through it before and now you're stronger and you know how to handle it. So why worry about it? Okay, so there's also this opposition going on with Venus, but I feel like this is more of an artistic expression. Like this could be a really, really good day for working on art. A really good day for, if any of you are therapists out there, for getting the details and tracking patterns and helping someone heal, unify their soul just by listening to maybe what they're saying, and you catch something that you haven't heard before, and you could maybe mirror it back and help them understand what's really going on. And let's see, what else? With the in conjunct to Chiron, yeah, definitely what I just said gives even more power there. A little bit of an adjustment, a little bit of a tweak to help us all, be inside of our brave, courageous essence, right inside our life spark that's in, of course, in the nucleus of every cell in our body. We can enliven that in some healing way with the moon in Virgo. Let's see. So it could be some good news that comes out about that with the trine here. Maybe there's some good news about vaccine or medicine, for COVID. There could be something there. And with the sun is still in that aspect with the south node. So the adjustment there would be just something being revealed. I do feel like there's a possibility of a healing situation with COVID. And then, of course, with Jupiter crossing over Neptune, it's now moving away. And it's not going to be blowing up COVID as much. So we might be getting to the downside or the down phase, the last phases. I hope so. I really hope so. We've learned a lot, right? We've learned that besides masks, we need to protect our eyes, and that masks are the most important thing to protect everyone. If everyone were wearing masks when we went out, we wouldn't have all these flare-ups, but, we didn't. So, and a lot of governors of different states allowed that to happen just for financial reasons. And then we had a new strain of COVID come out that was no less deadly and no less contagious. It was more contagious and just as deadly. So that was a big mistake. Again, that's that square to Saturn, where you have to be in your own self-responsibility with Pluto and Capricorn for your own body. You can't give it up to some just because now they say it's safe. You know what? Check your guidance. Check in with me, because I'll get it. I'm always the one for safety and security. Okay, so anything else with the moon for the day? No, just with the opposition of Venus, I feel like it's an artistic breakthrough, possibly. If it's a relationship issue, because that could be it too, because remember, Venus rules relationships. This could be a day to be very, very sensitive to all your friends, loved ones, and be a very, very good listener. And especially with this... because Taurus is all about, the ears and hearing and even the jaw. And Mercury and Taurus can be very, very good with listening. And then, of course, with Virgo, the moon in Virgo, we're talking articulate, being very articulate. So, yeah. Okay, so let's move forward. So for Thursday, the moon's still in Virgo, you can see. And I drew in this little... this aspect here, this is a finger of fate. They call it finger of fate or finger of God. And the apex is the sun. So there's something that is so we're full of energy here, full of vitality. And I think it's because something there's the opportunity to heal something from the past. And, like that high degree of, what's it called, perspicacity. Some place where you've been very perceptive, and there's emotional healing that can happen as well, and then that can in turn revitalize your essence, who you truly are. And let's see, with the moon, it still is trining. It's still in a it's to the north node. So, look at this here. We have, besides this finger of fate, we have the aspect of the architect going from the south node to the north node, but the apex is the moon. So everything that I said about yesterday will be even better for today, for Thursday. Everything I said about Wednesday will be even better, more opportunities for Thursday. So you can see how we're building the energy here. And now the moon opposing Jupiter, and even earlier in the morning we had an exact, because you can see 29 minutes there to 23. So maybe around midnight or so. The moon, so in East Coast time, it might be like about 3 a.m. That it would be an exact. To the moon opposing Jupiter, it can be, especially Jupiter and Pisces, can be very healing. The only thing is that Jupiter can be compulsive sometimes, because you just want the states of bliss in Pisces. In the worst case scenario, this could be a drug overdose situation. This could be a blowing up of so much worrying, and you can't handle the worrying and the fear anymore, so you want to numb out. That's the worst case scenario with this opposition between Neptune and Jupiter and the moon. But on a healing level, again, everything I said about yesterday applies to today, because it can be very healing for any issues of the past. So forgiveness may have occurred, the opportunity for forgiveness that opens up a whole new way of life to move forward in bliss, because now you're free. And that's especially true when, these nodes come to, or the node comes together with Uranus, and then Mars will be over here by then, because Mars moves really fast. Like I was saying, for July 31st, August 1st transit. Yeah, forgiveness, mercy in Pisces, and forgiveness in Scorpio. The highest octave in Scorpio is forgiveness and just letting go. That's how the phoenix rises out of the ashes. Let's see, anything else? The moon, you can see that the moon is in orb of an exact trine up here to Pluto. And we do have a grand water trine going on here between the North Node in Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn and the moon in Virgo. Look at that. Again, everything I said, deciding that you want to heal, getting in touch with the details to move forward, but then also just letting go. And, that is always the case, that I'm being grateful and forgiving. It opens up the gateway to abundance. It really does. It truly, truly does. And then the moon has an inconjunct aspect up here to, and remember, it has to be exact for it to be, with like I said, that 0 to 3 degrees. So it's only up to Saturn. It does not involve Mars. So again, this is a test in life, and I do feel it has to do with healing the past, but through forgiveness and gratitude. Okay, so let's go forward, because everything else is the same there, into Friday. And this is the day that, let me get it straight there. This is the day that Mars has moved into Pisces. There's no aspects to it, but it's in Pisces now. So now there's a lot of life force that can come through that has to do, and some astrologers may say, oh, it's debilitated in either Cancer or Pisces. I don't read that way. I just don't. I don't think any sign is debilitated. Mars is all about moving energy. It's all about going for what we want. It activates. It motivates. It's enthusiastic. It wants to win. It can be a little competitive, but it achieves something. So what's the something? The something is in the sign of Pisces. So what's Pisces all about? Well, it's ruled by Neptune. So it makes us more sensitive, more compassionate. It could could have us wanting more of sensitive, compassionate relationships, because we're in a conjunction here. It's going to get tighter and tighter. You can see it's only 10 degrees now. It's going to be it's going to get tighter as it moves through time. And so the inconjunct here, and again we've got the finger of fate, in finger of God, whatever you want to call it. With the moon in Libra, it's all about this pattern here. Tells me that, because it goes up here, it goes from Venus, and Venus rules relationship, and Libra is the sign of relationship, and then we have the inconjunct here to Mercury. It's tight orb there, but Mercury's kind of vibing off of Uranus already, and it's all about waking up to the kinds of relationships that make you feel better. Now, if it has to do with, drinking and happy hour that lasts way too long, and people, doing stupid stuff that way, that could be a problem, because you've got a drinking buddy here, you've got drug buddies here, right? We have to be careful with that, with Neptune and Pisces and Jupiter and Pisces as well. We always have to, be careful of the numbing out. But Neptune ruling Pisces has to do with dissolving things that are no longer good for us. So if we've been in any type of a relationship that hasn't been working out, I think the adjustment will be coming through today or when the moon is full. And other than that, we've just got a little bit of a challenge to Saturn. So again, it's, what is it that we really want? What do we really want to manifest? Because that's the test that's happening. And the moon is in opposition with Chiron. So again, it's about healing. So if there's anyone in your life who's been disrespectful, or who hasn't been sensitive to your wounding, and is, or it could be the other way around, where you've been holding way too much space for someone who stays stuck in their wounding and continues to be a problem, and they're not doing the work, there could be a challenge there with this moon opposition, especially as it comes into a tight orb to Chiron. And it's moving towards the full moon. So I feel like Friday and this weekend is very relationship-oriented. I mean, life is always, but definitely this, And then here we are with the full moon on Saturday. So it's at 26 degrees Libra. So wherever 26 degrees Libra lands in your chart, that will be an area of your life that could be illuminated, could be something that comes into, full bloom, something that manifests that you've been working on in the past. With the inconjunct to Jupiter, there's just a little bit of a adjustment to be made about, with being sensitive in relationship, because this is a pretty, 26 degrees and 45 minutes. Hold on, I need to get some water in a second. With 26 degrees, almost 27 degrees, we're at the the final degrees of Libra. So it's a very developed point of relation and relationships, relational type of energy, that quality. And notice how we have a square. And so here's the tricky part. The moon, this full moon in Libra, is square Pluto. So if relationships aren't working out, if we're having, and it's in T-square to the sun, because of course, we always have an opposition between the sun and the moon when it's full. And the new moon in Aries helped us get in touch with what we really want and how we're going to move forward to get it. Now, with the full moon in Libra, there's the test of will other people in our lives receive us? Or should we just go along our merry way and be the author of our own lives and be in our own power, right? Now, on a global level, with the war in Ukraine and with corruption going on, there could be something that is in full view for this full moon. And it's a exact 11:55 a.m. Pacific time, so adjust to your time zone accordingly. But this looks to me like something could come out about relationships. So not only those who have been corrupt, but those who, all those people who have supported them. You know, like remember those 14 fake electors that we had that tried to overturn the election? Well, it turns out there were 300 GOP members connected to those 14. That's what I'm talking about. We may have some justice with this full moon. I hope. Right? There could be, we don't know. What could happen is very, very possible that, Merrick Garland comes on the stage again, just like he did yesterday with the, announcing about fighting the corruption in Ukraine with the Russian oligarchs and doing everything that they could. He could come out about the January 6th committee. We could see Mark Meadows get arrested. We could see some kind of justice. Now, in our own personal lives, like I said, be the author of your own life. Take self-responsibility for what you're creating. And then move forward in what brings you joy and happiness, and with the people who support your joy and happiness. And with Mercury conjunct Uranus, look at this, how quickly it's moving together. There will be some enlightenment that comes through. Mercury conjunct Uranus can be messages from the divine mind. And we have this nice, easy sextile up here to Jupiter. This is like all together. So now Mercury and Uranus, or Mercury's connected into the whole, wrong color there. This whole, right here, these 3 sextiles here. So it's really tight orb to the North Node, but it's also involving Venus now. And then up here to the South Node. So like I was saying, before, I'll just keep saying it so you guys don't forget it. It's about being in your own power, on your path, and now the messages are going to come in to support you that way. And it's about all that spiritual hard work you've done in the past to overcome your false beliefs. It's like all of a sudden a doorway can open, because this aspect of the architect is like the lever law to me, and it's like this is what builds new paradigms from the spirit world down to the earthly world. It's already created for you in the spiritual realm. Everything that we need and want, it's already there in the spiritual realm. It's just about us finally opening up to it, or finally getting to the place where we've worked hard enough for it, or we've figured out that it wasn't the right way and we went in a different direction, right? That's there. And now it's open and doorways are opening. New jobs are coming in, new projects are coming in, new ways of expressing the genius of who you are is coming through. And then we also have, if that's not enough, I love it, we have the moon trining Saturn. So now there's the ability to build what you want with relationships or in the relationship arena. And the moon is also trining Venus. So again, everything that I said before, it's just, it can't get any better than this. Well, I suppose it always could. I mean, we could have no war on Earth. We could have no famine. We could have no fear. We could have no problems. Right? We could be just completely blissed out all the time. So go for that. Think in terms of that. Like, what would it be like to be in positive, blissed out pleasure? What would it be like to live in a place where you couldn't even have a negative thought? Well, we'd be home in the spirit world. But you know, we can create the spirit world, the highest levels of love here on Earth. So anyway, that's it for this week, and I actually love it. It's going to be intense, but it's there. And even this in conjunct here to Jupiter, the last little thing I'm noticing with the moon, this would be, if we notice ways that we're out of balance, we can heal it. We can go to the blissful, just remember, just keep going for the bliss. Keep going for the bliss and happiness, and you can't go wrong. As long as it's not an escape with drugs, okay? Or alcohol. Or, I don't know, retail therapy. Whoa, boy, that can get you in trouble. But that's not sustainable, right? Because don't forget, it's all about sustainability with Pluto and Capricorn. That's where the true power lies, and your North Node in Taurus as well. So, okay, well, that's it for this week. Thanks, you guys, for hanging in there with me. And I wish you all the best. Take good care. Bye.